And I had to start again, just my children and my wife. Thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. That I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA. Well, there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Irish Bill with Bob Grant on Irish Bill's Twist on Sports here at Culver's in downtown Navarre. About a block and a bridge from beautiful Navarre Beach. What a beautiful day. Another warm day, Bob.
Oh, yeah, it was definitely a warm one, a day of reflection, remembering 9/11. And I did that in my classroom today. I teach civics, teach government to 7th graders, and we pushed back a test because it was just important. Didn't go over any gory stuff, but had followed a timeline of the president, President Bush, Vice President Cheney, and the chain of events that happened, and remembering the freedoms that we have and why we have them. And today was really a day of reflection, but it was also a day to be thankful.
Most definitely, and I couldn't think of a better song, even though it's Lee Greenwood's a Canadian.
Yeah.
No one could have sung it any better than what Lee did.
Yeah, it gives me chill bumps listening to that song, because every time he sings it, whether in concert or at a ball game or whatever, you know he means every word he sings.
He does. I mean, you could tell he was at Yankee Stadium in that one, and his performance had the crowd in tears, and it just, we got to remember all those the day that happened 18 years ago. Today, a lot of us have their own stories of where we were on that day and what it meant to you and how it affected your family. But we lost a lot of good people on that day, and the days to follow as our soldiers, our airmen, our Marines, and our Navy personnel all got in the fight. And as we went over to try, as I put it today, we went over to right a wrong.
Exactly. Let's don't forget our coasties, too, the Coast Guard, search and rescue and the like. And thank you. I know I found out today you went to Pakistan.
Yeah, I was in Oman and Pakistan. My wife had no idea where I was at. For 6 weeks, I didn't talk to her and had no contact with home. And it was weird, but I really didn't have any time because we were working 14 to 18-hour days, just enough to sleep to get you through the next day, and end up working like 95 straight days of like the 14 to 18-hour days. And but you look back and it was all worth it. Yeah, was those places not so nice? They weren't very nice, but everybody was over there for the same reason, and we had a job to do, and that's what we spent all these years getting trained for, and we finally got an opportunity to do what the Air Force and what other branches trained us to do. So remember, folks, and never forget, September 11th, 2001, 3,000 lives plus were lost, and a lot of families affected. They're reminded of it every day as their loved one doesn't come walking through that front door. But we can remember a lot more often. And remember that feeling on September 12th when everybody said, we're Americans. Yeah. We're proud.
Exactly.
We're proud people. The love and everything that was shared for the days and years to follow is kind of faded away a little bit, but I know in my eyes it will never fade away.
Exactly, and let me give kudos to our local Navy ROTC at Navarre High School, as they have since the year that it happened. They put out 3,000 or so flags, remembering those that lost their lives in the World Trade Center. Not only those in the building, but the first responders, EMTs, firefighters. I found out today from somebody who visited there was a firehouse literally right across the street. The first responder was there. But anyway, the Navarre High School ROTC, they put out the flags. They say the names of all the ones throughout the day. They stand post from this morning through dusk tonight. Even now, they're over there now. And one of the top 3 ROTC units in the whole country.
Yeah.
Very proud of them and for what they do, and for the adults that lead them, showing them not only is it to be a good student, but also to be patriotic and loyal to your country. So hats off to them.
Most definitely. There was grandparents, there was mothers, there was fathers, there were husbands, there were wives. Brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, relatives. A lot of people lost, and it affected a lot of people on that day. And we're just happy to be an American, and where we know the world's peace is not free.
Greatest country in the whole world.
It sure is. Well, let's talk about some football. We're going to have a great show tonight. Irish Bill's Twist on Sports, week number 3, here at Culver's in downtown Navarre. Randy and Honey Smith welcome us in here every Wednesday night at 7 so that we can bring you some information, a little bit about last week's Navarre game. We'll go over some stats, the only offensive stats we have to provide for this week for Navarre, and then we'll go over our power rankings. I did something a little bit different and for the power rankings coming in this week, so we'll get to that. And then we'll go over this week's schedules, and we're going to I picked some of the high school games, but we're going to pick the rest of them on there.
Okay. Sounds
and then
good.
We'll pick all of the college games this week, and then we'll get on to our Where Are They Now, former Raiders segment, and we'll finish up with some golf South Conference play as they got underway last weekend. And it should be a great show coming up. So let's go over and let's recap the Raiders' win last Friday night. The Raiders got on the board first, kind of a different variety of scoring, Bob. It was a high snap over the punter's head. It went about 40 yards in the air. And Brendan Payton was right there at about the 2-yard line. He picked it up and went in the end zone, and then Penton added the extra point for a 7-0 lead.
Yeah, very unusual. Both centers from both teams, but especially Milton, really had a tough night with snapping. Either it was too high or it was a two-bouncer. But, good teams capitalize. That was one of the two big plays, I think, in the game that I think we can pinpoint really led to a Navarre victory.
Most definitely. That was the only scoring in. Actually, that was the only scoring in the first quarter as the Raiders jumped out to a 7-0 lead. We went on to the second quarter, and at the 8:09 mark, 21-yard pass from Marlon Courtney to Trent Hall. He goes up at about the 5-yard line. He evades a couple of Panther defenders and dives into the end zone. And the extra point was good by Penton. It was a 14-0 lead. But Milton would come back at the 4:39 mark, and they would get on the board on a 1-yard run by Noah Wingate. Casey Padgett would add the kick, and it was now 14-7 Navarre. About a minute and a half later, actually not even quite a minute later, the Raiders would get back on the board at the 3:41 mark, an 82-yard pass from Courtney to Tyler England, and Penton would add the extra point, and Navarre was up 21-7 at the half. The third quarter, we saw a lot of defense back and forth.
We did. A lot of exchanging field position. Navarre was pinned back into around the 18, inside the 20-yard line. And you wondered if momentum had shifted, and then, bam, Navarre hits the the catch and run by England to take the momentum in there. We had wondered if Milton was just going to sustain a drive. How was the 2-minute offensive sorts of Navarre? They didn't take very long to score.
Two plays,
and bam. And then they take the momentum into the second half. And as you remember, Navarre had won the toss, elected to defer, and so they had the ball back to start the second half. And we said, "Oh, there's the momentum." But Milton's defense stiffened, and I think both teams exchanged punts to start the second half.
They did. So it was a scoreless third quarter. We go to the fourth quarter, and time starting to wind down as we're down to about 7:30, and Milton would drive pretty much they would get a short field after the interception. They would take over on the Raiders' 24-yard line. A couple of plays later, and Noah Wingate would find freshman wide receiver Raymond Cottrell. And that young man is not built like your ordinary freshman.
No, he's not. And he's going to have a lot of good years left, at Milton. He's quite the young man, quite the athlete. And that was really Milton's go-to guy all night. It was their quarterback and their wide receiver, and, of course, their running back, who ran very well as well.
Well, we would go back and forth, and then the Panthers would take over late in the game, and they would have a third and about 8 from their own 45-yard line. And Wingate, you had just made a comment. I went back and watched the broadcast a little bit last night. You had just made a comment about Wingate and his passing effectiveness. Well, never fails. Wingate goes back in the pocket. He has his receiver, Cam Hall, sprinting down the right sideline, past the Raider defender. He stretches his arms out as far as he could. He hauls in the pass. He's inside the Raider 10. He gathers himself. Right as he gathers himself, Bailey Houston comes from behind and strips the ball at the 2-yard line. And the Raiders, there's 4 Raiders there on the ball, and the Raiders would recover, and that would decide the game, as the Raiders would then just go into victory formation and run out the clock.
Yeah, great hustle by Navarre on the play, and really when your defender is beaten, that's just about all you could do is try to go for a strip. And, give Raiders credit. To me, that was the second big play in the game, and led to a touchback. And I believe, or was it down on the 2?
No, it was a touchback, and it was recovered by Kobe Johnson, who got a little bit excited on the play and threw the ball up about 40 yards in the air. Of course, got a 15-yard penalty, But the Raiders were able to take over about their own 8-yard line after the penalty. Jaden Rivera, big first down run.
Right.
Wish the young man would have stayed in bounds, would have ran out. But that does stop with the first down. But anyways, they were able to run out the clock, and Marlon Courtney would just kneel on the last play of the game. And then the hands would be shaken at midfield as the Raiders take their 10th straight game against Milton.
You know, you felt in the second half definitely the momentum shifted to Milton, and you were just kind of holding your breath there for, a while. We're going to see what Navarre was made of, and they hung on for, the victory. And, you go on the road, it's tough to play at Milton. Always is. You saw the crowd. Yeah, the crowd on the field. Yeah, exactly. Their whole home side was packed. This was an important game for them, an intra-county rival, and they almost pulled it off. But Navarre hung on. They go 2-0 and 3-0. 3-0.
3-0 in Santa Rosa County as well.
3-0 in Santa Rosa County. Coach Wall spoke about that after the game, trying to highlight the importance of the game and savor the victory, if you will, and then get ready for this week's game against Lincoln.
One thing that I went back and looked at the stats from the first 3 games. The Raiders have yet to score a point in the fourth quarter. And tomorrow night as they hit the road and they go over to Tallahassee to face a very, very strong Lincoln team, they will need 4 quarters of offense and defense against the Trojans on the road.
Yeah, and, in the first 2 games, Bill, they really didn't need to score in the fourth quarter. The games were kind of out of hand, so to speak. But you're absolutely right. You've got to play 4 quarters. This is a district game.
First one of the season in the new district.
And you need to win. Of course, the new format with all the points and stuff, which I still don't understand. I'm not sure Florida High School Activities understands it.
What's Al Davis said? Just win, baby.
Just win,
baby.
Just win. Just win, baby. And so we'll see. But Navarre had a lot of stars offensively in the ball game, and with a lot of good stats.
Another solid night for Marlon, 10 of 15 for 170 yards, 2 touchdowns. But he did have 2 picks in the game, and that runs his total up to 3 picks on the season against 6 touchdowns. His favorite receiver was Tyler England. Another good night from Tyler, 5 receptions, 112 yards, and a score. But Tyler also did the job in a punting position. He had a long of 52. He averaged 44 yards a punt for the night. And he got the Raiders out of their own end a couple of times.
Yeah, and great spiral kicks, and that's important. Special teams sometimes is kind of a lost statistic, a lost part of the game. But good coaches know that good specialty people, like your son, right, that kicks off. The person that kicks off is important too. The placement of the ball. Practicing onside kicks and the like. Anyway,
because believe me, at the college level, if you don't hit your spot, when you head to the sideline, Coach Ruffin at Miles College is going to let you know that is that where you needed to kick the ball. No, I was being nice, but he was not so nice on Saturday night on one of Brady's kicks. But Brady, as he told me from the game, he says, "Dad, this is the first kickoff of the season. I just want to put a foot on it." And it was down the middle, down to about the 4-yard line.
Okay.
Yeah. But I want to talk about a running game, but the running game Friday night was pretty much non-existent.
It wasn't. Milton was getting a good push. They had big bodies up front. Our big bubbas weren't getting the push they need offensively to open up holes. And so when you become one-dimensional, that can hurt you, especially in games like this and in future games when it really matters in district games. So you've got to you've got to get a running game going. I think if, every week we say, what does Navarre need to do, and what does Coach Walls want to improve on? I'm sure that might have been one of the things he spoke about this week, is getting the push, because we know we've got talent back there.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely got talent. And we have talent on the offensive line. But some of the scheming, Milton was ready for us, no doubt, and hats off to them. But we've got to get some holes opened up. And, just effectively as runs, those short passes can help to alleviate the rush and keep those defensive line honest. But you're right, the running game was almost non-existent. But
29 carries, 79 yards, no touchdowns. And I'm trying to look back at a Raider game where they went a game without a rushing touchdown, and I'd probably have to go a long ways back. But they'll get the game going, and we'll see tomorrow night, and you'll be able to watch tomorrow night's game. Bandwidth, hopefully, I'm praying for good bandwidth tomorrow night over in Tallahassee, so I can put on a great broadcast for you all back here that can't make the trip over. But tonight, I think, belonged to our special teams. Preston Penn, 3 for 3 extra points. He averaged 54 yards on 4 kickoffs. Tyler England, like we said, 5 punts, averaging 44 yards, 1 inside the 20. They got it done when we needed to get it done. And our Ian Lockwood player of the game actually went to a player from Milton. We both decided on quarterback Noah Wingate from Milton. Had a solid night. Our offensive and special teams player of the game goes to Tyler England. And our defensive player of the game with 7 tackles, 7 solo tackles, and 7 assists.
Wow. For
Devin Wright, the sophomore.
Too bad he's not on my fantasy football NFL team. That would be major points.
Major points.
Devin had another solid game. A two-way player, plays tight end, H-back on offense. And so a great job, and he's a sophomore.
Only a sophomore, about 6'1", about 210, 215, maybe 6'2", playing tight end and defensive line. Mostly on the defensive side of the ball, as the Raiders replaced 9 starters on defense here in 2019. Well, we're going to head out to commercial break, and then we'll come back with our state rankings, and then we'll move on to our Super 7 power rankings. And something new, a new twist on Irish Bill Sports.
Oh, there you go.
Bob Grant and Irish Bill will be back after this commercial break.
Craig Culver of Culver's. Before farm to table, before field to fork, there was just good, wholesome food. Grown by America's farm families, prepared fresh at Culver's, and always served with a smile. We still cook every Butterburger to order using fresh 100% Midwest beef, and craft our frozen custard right in the restaurant using family farm fresh dairy. So thank you, farmers. Welcome to Delicious.
Navarre Raider Sports is brought to you by Ursula Householder of Coldwell Banker Residential Real Estate, your local real estate connection. With Ursula, you got a positive, helpful partner for buying or selling a home. Ursula can help with all of your real estate needs. Whether in the Florida Panhandle or around the world, her 16 years experience in real estate will work for you with innovative marketing strategies. Thinking about selling your home? Call Ursula for a free marketing analysis to see if you qualify for one of the incentive programs. Call or text 850-642-5711. Email ursula.householder@floridamoves.com or go to householderhomes.com. Go Raiders! Your fans are all behind you at the field or while you're watching at home.
A strong work ethic takes pride in a job well done. This is the kind of person you need. Express Employment Professionals can help, because we understand what it takes to hire the right person. It takes real people, real interviews. We find good people, matching the right skills with the right jobs from the production floor to the front office. Express knows jobs. Get to know Express. Go to expresspros.com to find a location near you.
University Lending Group, located in Harvest Village, is Navarre's local mortgage lender. If buying, selling, or building a dream home is in your future, you need to contact University Lending Group. Jennifer Gomes and Stacy Wright are the loan specialists who have the experience to take you step by step to make your buying, building, or selling experience smooth. See University at 752 Navarre Parkway, Suite 56, or call 850-396-0322.
Great teams have great support. The Navarre Raiders have one of the best support organizations, the Navarre Raider Quarterback Club. All the members see to it that the Raiders have all available necessities to keep the Raiders on track. Well, they're seeing to it that they are properly fed, have good transportation, are making sure that all Raider fans can hear all the exciting Navarre Raider football action. The Navarre Raider Quarterback Club is there to make it happen. Thanks, Navarre Raider Quarterback Club, for your support of your winning Navarre Raiders on IrishBillSports.com.
Have you always wanted to just escape? How about a perfect cruise getaway? Or maybe an adventure to Europe or Hawaii? How about an all-inclusive resort? Then you need to call Cruise Planners Qualified Vacation Planner Judy Bruce today. She is a full-service agent ready to plan your escape. Enjoy dinner at sea, live entertainment, and fun activities. Visit exotic destinations, Alaska, Europe, Belize, all in the comfort of a cruise or land package. Cruise Planners is your land and cruise experts. Judy Bruce will plan your dream vacation. Cruise Planners offers great prices with all the extras. Ask about the military or senior discounts. Call Judy Bruce at 828-837-8399. Find her on Facebook at Judy Bruce Cruise Planners or online at DandyLionsJourneyTravel.com. Email judy.bruce@cruiseplanners.com.
Welcome back to Irish Bill's Twist on Sports. We're here at Culver's in Navarre, in downtown Navarre, just about a block and a bridge from beautiful Navarre Beach. Another warm day here in the Panhandle of Florida as we venture into Week 4 of the high school football season. Here are your rankings after Week 3. We're going to skip 8A because we really don't care about. We don't have anybody from the area in 8A, so we're going to move on down to 7A that affects a lot of four of our local teams. Lakeland in at number 1, St. Thomas Aquinas at number 2, Edgewater 3, Armwood 4, Venice 5, Atlantic Del Rey at 6. Navarre comes in at number 7. This is FloridaHighSchoolFootball.com, their latest polls. And Wekiva at 8, Plantation at 9, Palm Beach Lakes at 10. Lincoln comes in at number 12. Niceville comes in at number 13. Niceville's got a big rivalry game coming up this week at Crestview.
Yeah. Exactly. Got a Crestview team that's a little down right now. So
tough schedule early on after they got their big win against Vernon to start the season. They went on the road, faced a very, very tough Escambia team. And then came back home and Godby, fresh off 2 really tough losses to Trinity Christian and to Lincoln to start the season. And they stopped the Crestview Bulldogs on the 1-yard line on the final play of the game. Let's move down to 6A. Columbia at 1. Pine Forest gets to go on the road to play Columbia in Lake City tomorrow evening, or actually Friday evening. Miami Central at 2. Escambia comes in at number 3. That's a deserved ranking right there.
Yep.
Naples at 4. Gaither at 5. Charlotte at 6. Palmetto 7. Dillard 8. Mainland 9. And Clearwater comes in at number 10. No other local teams in the Class 6A rankings. In 5A, Miami Northwestern, Vanguard, American Heritage Plantation, Rockledge, Lake Wales, Jones, North Marion, Rains, Wakulla High School out of Crawfordville, Florida, home of Felipe Franks. A lot of you, I know, especially Tennessee Shanky out there, I know you could care less about that comment being well, we won't talk about Tennessee right now because, honestly, now let's just move on.
Yeah, we'll move on from there. But you notice I am wearing my Florida State shirt today.
Pine Forest comes in at number 12 as they lost a tough one to Escambia last week, 23-20.
Yeah.
And that takes care of 5A. Let's move on to 4A. No local teams here, so we'll move on past here. In 3A, you got Chaminade Madama at number 1, Trinity Christian Jacksonville at 2, Florida High at 3, Berkeley Prep 4, Benjamin 5, Pensacola Catholic off to a nice 3-0 start. They're at number 6. King's Academy, Bishop Moreau, Holy Trinity, and Trinity Catholic round out the top 10 in 3A. And we have in Class 2A, Victory Christian, Champagnat Catholic, University Christian, North Florida Christian, Admiral Farragut, Cambridge Christian, Foundation Academy, First Baptist, St. Joseph's, and Zephyr Hills Christian. And the only local 2A team we have is Rocky Bayou, and they're kind of off to a rough start here in 2019.
Yep.
And Class 1A is where we meet a lot of Panhandle teams. Madison County at 1, Baker comes in at number 2, Blountstown at 3. Bo Johnson doing a great job with that roster over there. They have a big game tomorrow night at home against Chipley, one of their rival games. Vernon at 4, Port St. Joe at 5, Lafayette 6, Hawthorne 7, Pahokee at 8. Even though they haven't won a game, they have played 2 upper classification teams at 0-2. Sneads comes in at 9, Dixie County at 10, Northview at 12, and Freeport comes in at 15.
Freeport off to a nice start, 3-0.
They got a good running back over there, Brandon Seipels. He came in. He's been there for a couple of years now. I believe he's a senior now. Kawan Powell got his start. He's the top running back over at Vernon after his freshman year. He transferred from Freeport and went over to Vernon.
Right.
He's only a junior, so I'm going to get a chance to watch him play Friday night when I head over and watch the Vernon Chipley matchup on Friday night. Top talent. He's like a 3 or 4 star running back already as a junior, and I'm interested to watch that young man play. Well, now we are off to Irish Bill Super 7 Panhandle Power Rankings after week 3. What I did this week, and I think is rightfully so, is why do you always put the small schools with the big schools in your power rankings? So I fixed that. Large schools has from 5A to 8A. They are now have their own power rankings, and our smaller schools have their own. So
that's awesome. Yeah.
Navarre it stays in at number 1 there at 3-0 as they beat Milton 21-13. Escambia beat Pine Forest 23-20 at 2. Niceville, a tough battle out of the Vikings of Fort Walton Beach, 29-17. Washington, the big leaper who moved from honorable mention last week, as they shut out their second consecutive opponent. And what Bobby Joe Whidden is doing over at Washington is amazing.
Yeah, and they're for real. They're certainly for real.
They got a good, solid quarterback over there with some good receivers, good running game, but a really staunch defense so far for the Washington Wildcats. And they have a former Raider on their coaching staff, one David Smith, offensive lineman from a few years back.
Yeah.
He's on the coaching staff over there at Washington. Crestview drops down to number 5 as they lost to Godby at home 27-20. Pine Forest lost to Escambia. They at 6. Fort Walton Beach stays in polls at number 7 with a nice effort against the Eagles. Now we're presenting Irish Bill's first ever small schools power rankings here in the Panhandle of Florida. And can't deny what the Catholic Crusaders have done so far as they beat West Florida last week 50-14. Ooh. Number 2 comes in at Freeport. I awarded them for the 3-0 start as they beat Pike Liberal Arts out of Alabama 43-28. Baker in at number 3 as they beat South Walton 42-7. Blountstown in at number 4 as they beat their second consecutive higher classification team, Mariana 37-16. Graceville had the open week. They're in at number 5. They're 2-0. Vernon at the number 6 spot at 2-1 as they came back from 25 points down in the second half at home to beat Ottawa Academy out of Alabama 44-42. Northview is my final there at number 7 as they were coming off a open week. And there's your first Irish Bill Small Schools Power Rankings. You like it?
I do. I love it. I love it.
And my star of the week's it's small school once again this week. My offensive player of the game comes from Vernon. We were talking about him just moments ago. Kawan Powell, 23 carries, 317 yards, and 4 touchdowns for the Yellow Jackets. We'll say they got down 25. They started throwing the ball. Nope, they just turned around and handed it off to Mr. Kawan.
Yeah, and I think he's received an offer from Florida State. I don't know if he's accepted it. since he's you said a junior?
It's only they're only about 85, 90 miles from Tallahassee, and he is a junior, and big things coming for that young man there. And our defensive player of the game comes from Bluntstown, linebacker Brent McCrone. I could have went so many different directions, but a big game there once again for Mr. McCrone. 14 tackles, 5 solos, 9 assists, and a win on last Friday night. So congratulations goes out to Vernon's Kewan Powell and Bluntstown's Brent McCrone as their Irish Bills offensive and defensive stars of the week. We had some great matchups, and I'm going to go back. I want to kind of look at the running backs here as it was really tough going. We had 5 running backs that rushed for over 200 yards last week. Trevor Nelson, our Gulf Breeze young man, 35 carries last week in the win over Choctaw for 219 yards, 2 touchdowns. Freeport's Brandon Seipels, 20 carries for 218 yards, 2 scores. He also had a touchdown reception and a 96-yard kickoff return for a touchdown.
Oh, is that all?
Escambia's Frank Passant, what a young – he just committed this week to Middle Tennessee State.
Okay.
He's going to be a Blue Raider.
All right.
And 23 carries, 212 yards, and a touchdown. And Baker's Joe Brunson, the coach's son, junior, had 212 yards rushing. And also Bluntstown's Trevin Smith, 11 carries, 197 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Quite a performances. Maybe we can get one of those out of Mr. Antonio this week.
Hope so.
Because I think we're going to need him against Lincoln. And let's move over, like we said, the defensive side of the ball. We had a lot of great games out of Bay's Brandon Nelson, Bluntstown's Zeb Kelly, Escambia's Jamal Potter, Pine Forest's Matrez Rawls, Bluntstown's Kane Miller, Crestview's Herman Estes and Chris Johns, Rutherford's Delonte Mitchell, Pine Forest's Tamarius Walker, Bluntstown's Joseph Rector. Quite a few tackles there for the Bluntstown Tigers. Vernon's Marcel Randolph and Rutherford's Cameron Knapp and Pine Forest's DeCarrion McWilliams. I see that McWilliams. It seems like he makes a big play every week for Pine Forest.
Yeah, and we'll get to see him in 2 weeks, I believe, at Lawnwise Stadium in Pensacola. And our own defensive player of the game had seven solos and 7 assists. So that's in the ball game here with some of the top players.
I normally don't post until I get the final results from the coaching staff, but we will add that later. But I had 14 tackles for one Devin Wright.
Yep. So he's up there with the big boys.
Let's throw in one special teams player this week from Niceville. Nick Morrison had 2 kickoff returns for 122 yards and a score for the Eagles in that win over Fort Walton. And Navarre's Tyler England, 5 punts, 44 average, 1 inside the 20 with a long of 52. Kaya Stornelio from Washington was perfect on the night, 5 for 5 extra points and a field goal from 25. Niceville's Jacob Dunn and Navarre's Preston Penn, both 3 for 3 on extra points. So there's Irish Bills Super 7 Panhandle Power Rankings for the large and small schools, and we'll continue that throughout the rest of the 2019 season. Probably something for many years to come. But congratulations go out to our Offensive Player of the Week from Vernon, Kawan Powell, our Defensive Player from Bluntstown, linebacker Brent McCrone. Now it's time to move over to our picks, and I know you're ready for his picks. I had another. I'm not going to pat myself on the back, but I will.
88%.
23-3 last week. I only missed 3 games, and on the season I'm 63-15 for 80.8% through the first 3 weeks. Not too shabby for an old guy, huh?
Yeah, when you round it off, it's 81%. Sounds even better.
Yeah, it does make it sound even better. Now we're going to need to get out the old trusty pen here, and we're going to make our picks for this week. I think I got them here somewhere. Yeah, here we go. Our first game is we are going to pick Navarre. We got 2 games tomorrow night. Navarre at Lincoln, and of course I got to go with my Raiders.
Absolutely.
So we're going to throw Bob in there with the Raiders as well. This next one's going to be a tough matchup. Taylor County has a new coach about a week before the season started. Wow. They got their first win last year. Bay kind of struggling a little bit. The odds have going for Taylor County, but I'm going to go with Bay at home.
Okay, I'm going to take Taylor County.
And Bob's going with Taylor County. Now let's move over to the Friday night games. A big one up in Crestview Friday night, as the Bulldogs will host the Eagles of Niceville in a district matchup. The first one in Class 7A District 1. You know what? You can only keep a dog down for so long, and that even includes the Georgia dog. But I'm going with the Bulldogs at home to give Niceville their first loss on the season.
Jack Foster Stadium, I totally agree. I think it's time for Crestview to get off the schneid and get a win there, an important win, district game against the Eagles.
Our next matchup is another District 1 Class 7A matchup as Tate goes to Tallahassee for the second straight week.
Yeah.
And they're a very young Tate team. I'm going to go with the Lions.
I am too.
At home. Next we got Arnold and West Florida. Both teams kind of down. West Florida really down. But Arnold came back with a big win last week against Walton, 40-34. It's hard to pick against West Florida at home, especially with the Marlins having to go a long ways out to Pensacola. Yeah. I am going to go with West Florida with their first victory on the season.
I'm going to pick Arnold to win on the road.
So you take Arnold, I'll take West Florida, and this one should be an interesting game tomorrow night. A matchup in 6A District 1, Milton on the road at Fort Walton Beach. I am going to go with the Panthers on the road.
I hate to go against my alma mater, Fort Walton, but from what I saw last week, they're going to have a good season. They're very tough. They get that tall freshman wide receiver involved. I'd like to see if maybe he returns some kicks as well, or put both of those. But the speedy guys back there returning kicks and punts, that certainly would mix things up. But I'll go with the Panthers on the road at Steve Riggs Stadium on the campus of Fort Walton Beach High School.
Most definitely. Gulf Breeze will be fresh off their first victory of the season. Will be going and heading to Washington to revamped Bobby Joe Whidden. Washington Wildcats, I'm taking as the Wildcats, as that they have not relinquished a point yet on the season.
You know, they're going to get their defense is going to get tested because Gulf Breeze has got that talented runner, but he had 35 carries last week, so he's a one-man machine. But I've got to go with Washington at home.
Bob and I take Washington. Next, we have Pine Forest traveling down I-10 as far as you can go before you hit 75 to Lake City and to take on a very, very tough Columbia team. And, I mean, if I look back at the rankings, I think I just said they were number one in the state in Class 6A. They are 3-0 on the season. They don't shy away from opponents either.
They don't.
And a great program over there is Columbia. As we got to see them personally back in 2012 when we knocked them out. I remember that game vividly as the Raiders took the opening kickoff. Nick Benton went 85 yards right up the middle. Raiders jumped out to a 21-0 lead. Columbia fought their way back, tied it at 21. And a late penalty, you're going to recognize this name, by Laramie Tunsil for Columbia. He's just released. He's just traded by the Dolphins. He had a big 15-yard penalty on fourth down. Gave the Raiders a first down. They went in and scored and held on for a 28-20 win over Columbia.
Yeah, they have a history of great programs there, and it's.
I'm going with Columbia at home.
Okay, I'm going to go with Columbia also. It's hard to go against Columbia.
This should be a good matchup here as Pace goes on the road to Panama City to take on Mosley. This is a district matchup. I'm going to go with the Dolphins at home.
Yeah, I agree. Pace having a slow start to their year this year.
Choctaw goes on the road off of the loss to Gulf Breeze, but they're going to face a Pensacola team that is just fighting to score points right now.
Yeah, the program's down at Pensacola. My niece cheers for Pensacola High School. It's my wife's alma mater. Got to go with the Indians on the road. The Big Green get it done at Pensacola High.
Next game, we have a Mississippi team invading the Panhandle, St. Stanislaus, as they travel over to Pensacola to take on the number 6 team in Class 3A in the state of Florida, the Catholic Crusaders.
Got to go with the Catholics.
Yeah. And next, we have a Rutherford at Mariana matchup, a 4A matchup between these two teams. Mariana handled by Blountstown last week, but I think they're going to get back to their winning ways this week.
I agree. I think Mariana's a good team, and they're certainly good enough to beat Rutherford.
Next, we got P.K. Young out of Gainesville.
Yep.
They're traveling to Tallahassee to take on Florida High, and Willie Taggart Jr. at quarterback for Florida High. I'm going to go with the home team in this one, Florida High.
I think it's going to be close again. Florida High won a close one last week, I think 20-19. So I'm going to go with Florida High on this one.
Next, we have Gadsden County at Rickards. Both teams that are kind of down this year. Rickards usually a solid program, but they are down this season. But I am going to go with Rickards at home.
Me as well. I think Rickards is tough to beat them in Tallahassee.
A game I have yet to pick, so we're both going to be picking this one. Port St. Joe, a tough Class 1A program.
Right.
On the road for a struggling 4A South Walton Seahawks team this year. Phil Tisa and it just has not got his offense going, and they got a great quarterback over there in Drake Roberts, and two good receivers, but they just cannot get their offense going in their first 2 games.
I'm going to go with Port St. Joe on the road.
I'm going to side with you in that one. Next, we got Chipley at Vernon. It's a heated rivalry between these two programs. Vernon comes in a heavy favorite, but you know how rivalries go.
Throw out the
points.
Records don't count. I'm going to go with the home team, Vernon, and their talented running back.
The color, I love their colors, yellow and orange, dark blue. I mean, actually not yellow, but blue and orange. A dark blue and the orange and they got a big old yellow jacket right in the middle of it's cool colors. I'm going to Vernon as well. Holmes County at Graceville. Graceville off to a 2-0 start. I'm going to go with the home team in that one.
I as well. I hate to root against the Jimmy Ray Stevens, helps coach at Holmes County, but Graceville has got just too much, I think.
Walton at Freeport. The Freeport team is rolling high, 3-0, and I'd look for him to go 4-0.
Yep, Battle of Walton County there. Walton County schools, two of the 3 high schools face one another. Freeport's solid. Look for them to get their 4th victory.
Our biggest 1A matchup of the week as Baker heads down I-10. Actually, they'll probably go down 4 and head to Northview up to Bratt. So people will go, where is Bratt, Florida? Well, that's where Northview High School is at.
They're right near Atmore, right on the state line.
And that's a great matchup. My good friend Derek Marshman, the head coach at Northview, and Brunson at Baker. He's been there, about 6-7 years now.
Yeah,
since he left Crestview.
I think Northview's going to give them a game. They're in the also receiving votes for a reason, both in the state and your poll. But it's tough to go against a Coach Brunson team.
32 straight regular season wins.
Yeah, I don't see them losing in the regular season.
So I think we're both going with Baker in that one. Liberty County facing their first 1A matchup after 2-3 Class 3A and Class 4A victories. And I see the road still going forward for Blountstown.
Like what Coach Johnson's doing in Blountstown, and everything that the team has been through with Hurricane Michael, the story that you shared on irishbillsports.com that ran with was it the New York Times?
New York Times.
New York Times wrote, it was a great story about Blountstown. Thank you for sharing that. And if you haven't had a chance to read it, go to Irish Bill.
Tiger Mike's checking in. He said he's taking St. Stanislaus. Thanks, Tiger Mike, for checking into the show tonight.
Appreciate that.
We appreciate all the guys checking in our show on irishbillsports.com. Now we're going to move over to Bozeman and Cottondale. Bozeman, the Bucks, And Cottondale, I'm trying to remember Cottondale.
Aren't they the Yellow Jackets also?
I should know this one. And shame on me for not knowing Cottondale. I'm going to look. I'm going to cheat here. I'm going to cheat a little bit. And
are they the Bunny Rabbits? Because they're cotton.
That's
Cottondale.
really the Bunny Rabbits.
Yeah. The Hares.
Well, we're going to look this up.
We'll let Google, our friend, help us.
I actually have all the schedules of every team in the Panhandle, and I got their nicknames as well. So we're gonna pull up the trusted Excel product here of Irish Bill, and we're gonna go down to Cottondale, which shouldn't be very far because it's in alphabetical order, and they are the Hornets. It's close.
Yeah.
The Hornets.
Cottondale
Hornets. So let's move on from there. I'm going with Bozeman on the road.
Okay, I'm going to stick with the home team, Cottondale.
Next, we already talked about this game. We already picked that game. Jefferson County played a tough game last week, lost on the road, 42-36, but they're going to an undefeated Sneads team that's out to a 3-0 start.
Kind of go with Sneads at home on this one.
Me as well. Lighthouse PCA with back-to-back wins after their opening season loss. They're going on the road to Tallahassee to take on St. John Paul II. And I'm going with Lighthouse for their third straight win.
I think so, too. John Paul doesn't have a big squad. Go with the local Lighthouse. And their nicknames are what's Lighthouse's nickname?
They're the Stingrays.
The Stingrays, that's right. That's
building a new facility down the road building a new facility off the 98 in Gulf Breeze, just off of 98. I believe it's down in the Oriole Beach area.
Right.
In that location, they'll be putting in a new stadium where they'll play their games in the future. Next, we're going to move on to North Bay Haven, a high school just on the outskirts of Panama City, and they'll be traveling over to take on Weewa. My favorite name, Weewa.
Weewa Hitchcock. I've actually refereed football game there. Very small, hard to get to. I'm going to go Weewa at home.
Weewa at home. They're one of the very few teams that still run the old the triple option, and most games they have all three of their backs go for over 100 yards.
Jeez.
They find a way to lose somehow, but they love to run the ball down there at Weewa, and they are the Gators.
Okay.
North Bay Haven. I'm trying to remember what North Bay Haven is. Let's pull it up, and we're going to give you some nicknames and mascot lessons here as we go on the show. That's one thing we can just go off and do anytime we want because it's my show. They are the Buccaneers of North Bay Haven.
The Buccaneers against the Gators. I'm going with the Gators.
Yeah, I'm going with the Gators as well. And then our last game is McClay at Rocky Bayou. I believe they play over at the Destin Middle School field.
They do.
And
they sure do.
McClay got back on winning tracks last week, and I'm going to go with McClay on the road.
I hate to root against the Knights, but I agree. I think they're going to get back-to-back wins.
So the only way for you to realize how we did is to tune in next Wednesday night on Irish Bill's Twist on Sports. Now we're going to move over to the bigger boys, the college boys, where I went rather impressed, 18-3 last week.
Wow.
The only games I missed was, nobody saw this one coming, Maryland and Syracuse. Syracuse, the ranked team, Maryland, that goes in and wins by 43. And now their reward is they get to face Clemson this week.
Right. Yeah, they'll probably go undefeated against Clemson. Clemson plays Syracuse this week, I do believe.
Yep. They're on the road they're not playing at the Carrier Dome anymore. I believe they're playing on campus now. So that game, I believe, will be outside in the elements. My only other losses last week, Stanford, USC, both teams lost their quarterbacks. That's kind of a game I really couldn't. It's kind of a throw it up in the air and see who lands on.
Good.
USC and their freshman quarterback looked solid. And then I know I'm going to not make Nolcor very happy on this one. I did pick Washington, a game that extended into the wee hours of the morning due to weather. And unfortunately, for the second consecutive year, California takes out Washington. I'm sorry, Nolcor. No harm meant, but it cost me a loss as well. So 85.7% on the weekend, 42-6 overall for my college picks. I know we're playing all the pickup games and the Mary School, the blind games, but it's going to get tougher, and it's going to start not this weekend.
Right.
There are some tougher games this weekend, but not as many. So we're going to move on, and we're going to pick our college games for this week. And we like to fly by night, so we'll get out of here.
On-air programming.
On-air programming. We love it. We got a Friday night game, and that matches up Pac-12 Dave's number 20 Washington State. And as they go to Houston, it's going to be the battle of the Cougs, man.
Yeah, and he's Pac-12 Dave is on record as saying that he doesn't like Friday night games. Friday night should be reserved for high school. And, they've been impressive. I don't know. This week in Houston, it's going to be a tough one. I'm really leaning towards Houston. I'm going to pick Houston at home.
Bob's going with Houston
and an upset
at home. I like the offensive performance that they put up against Oklahoma,
right.
31 points. But, yeah, they'll say, well, that's Big 12 defense. They don't play any defense. Well, they don't play any defense in Pac-12 either, as they refer to it as grass basketball. That was one of the best lines ever. I can't remember who. You guys are going to have to remind me who brought that one up. But that was one of the best lines ever, grass basketball.
In Pac-12. I don't know if Pac-12 Dave has mentioned it this week, but Grant Minshew had to come in the game last week because
Gardner.
I said Grant Minshew.
Sounds like a tossed salad.
Yeah. Yeah, really. He had to come in the game because their starting quarterback, who had just signed the big contract, came over from the Eagles, got hurt. So Minshew came in, played pretty well.
Well, not a lot of people know that Pac-12 Dave and I have had a bet about 3 months ago.
Was it a steak bet?
No, it was not a steak. It was a pizza bet.
Okay.
It was a pizza bet. Okay. We didn't want to get too out of hand there with the bet. Yeah. You know, Dave was always talking about 4,370 yards passing. Remember when he brought that up during the summer?
He did.
And he threw a bet out there for anybody? Yeah. Well, I took that bet. Well, after they threw for about 600 yards the first game, I think I'll be probably paying up. But it won't be this week as the Cougs of Houston upset the Cougs of Washington State.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a shootout. But I think you're right. They've certainly got a prolific offense. It's hard to go against Coach Mike up there at Washington State.
I love one of my favorite coaches in college football. I love his philosophy when he starts talking about things that don't even pertain to really a whole lot.
So how far is Pluto from the sun? You know, he'll just go off. In the middle of a press conference, he'll just go off.
But while we're talking about Pac-12 Dave's Washington State Cougars, every Saturday morning from 9 to 12 on 100.3 FM, The Ticket, you can catch Loose on the Palouse with Pac-12 Dave, Georgia Dog, No Core, and Hurricane Ryan, as I'll be on the road this Saturday and actually for about the next 9 to 10 weeks, as there's no breaks in my son's schedule. So I will be on the road. I'll be calling in with high school score updates and as I travel up to Birmingham this week. So catch the Southern Gentleman Sports Show from 9 to 12 every Saturday morning on 100.3 FM, The Ticket in Okaloosa on Okaloosa Island. And while we got Pac-12 Dave's got out of the game, sorry, Pac-12 Dave, we both went with Houston. And I won't secretly be rooting for Washington State either. My Irish get back on the schedule as they had the week off after their first week win against Louisville. They're taking on the Lobos of New Mexico, not the Aggies of New Mexico State. So I'm going with my Irish at home, 35-point favorites.
And no Bob Davies, who has an illness, undisclosed illness.
So he won't be making the trip back home to
that had to be a tough decision, but yeah, I think it'll be over by the end of the first quarter.
Now we're going to move over to the best team in Arkansas. Arkansas State, unfortunately, on the road at number 3, Georgia. I'm going with the Bulldogs big in that one.
Yeah, really the only big story, and I'm going to go with the Bulldogs as well. I think really the only story this week is the number of 11 o'clock a.m. kickoffs and the heat. I hope everybody gets through. These teams, Notre Dame included, in fact, Notre Dame and Georgia both are going to want it. Their goal in the game, besides winning, is to get through healthy, because they face off
next
against
week,
each other in Athens.
Next week, the 21st. Unfortunately, I would love to go on to that game, but my son will be playing in Missouri, as I mentioned on the show. I Talk SEC earlier this evening. Next, we got a game. We're heading back to my home state, Indiana, as they face number 6, Ohio State. Indiana is improving, better facilities, but the Buckeyes have better talent.
I agree. I think the Buckeyes are going to win this game. Indiana may keep it close in the first half, but their quarterback of Ohio State, something special, and so I think Indiana will keep it respectable, and then Ohio State will pull it away in the second half.
We got the Battle of Pennsylvania. Pittsburgh will travel to Happy Valley to take on number 13 Penn State. I'm going with the Nittany Lions big at home.
Absolutely, and that's a game that they hadn't played in a long time, I believe, and they're facing each other back again. But I got to go with the Nittany Lions as
Number
well.
21 Maryland averaging 70.5 points a game on the road at Temple. But Temple is one of those programs that always throws a little bit of defense out you. I think this game will be close, like the Indiana game early on, but I think there's too much offense for Maryland in this one.
Well, Temple beat Bucknell in their first game, had last week off. I agree. Maryland is the pick. But Vegas got to know something. Maryland's only a 7.5-point favorite. That's a head-scratcher for me. Why? And,
Temple is in the Philadelphia area, is it not?
Correct, it is, yeah. But I got to go with the Terrapins. They look good. I think they're going to have a say of what's going to happen in the Big Ten before it's all over with. They're going to – they're ranked 21st for something. And when was the last time Maryland was ranked that high?
But unfortunately, like with Texas A&M being in the western side of the SEC with LSU, Auburn, and Alabama, Maryland is stacked in the eastern side with Ohio State, Michigan State.
Wisconsin.
And Wisconsin's on the western side of that bracket. A much easier side of the bracket with Northwestern and Illinois and Nebraska and Minnesota. So Maryland's got to go through that grind of playing Michigan State, Ohio State, and Penn State is on that side of the bracket as well. So it's going to be a good year for Maryland. They'll get their wins, but I don't look at a 10-win season coming out of Maryland. Maybe a respectable 8 or 9.
8, very, very easily.
Next, we're going to move to number 2 Alabama, heading to South Kakalaka to take on South Carolina. South Carolina with their with Helinski at quarterback, the younger of the late departed Helinski quarterback out on the West Coast. Always hate to hear stories like that, but hopefully his younger brother will have a little bit more luck against number 2 Alabama, but I don't see that happening this week.
No, I don't either. One of the worst losses Alabama has taken in the last several years when Steve Spurrier was coaching South Carolina. They whipped them pretty good, so I think Alabama will handle it easily.
We got some good matchups coming up here. Stanford going across from the West Coast to the East Coast to Orlando to take on UCF.
I think UCF's for real. I see them winning this game. Stanford was a little bit of disappointment. USC really did take them to the woodshed and beat them pretty bad.
And you say, well, who's the quarterback for UCF? You know who the quarterback is. How about Notre Dame transfer Brandon Wimbush is the starting quarterback for UCF.
That's right.
As he replaces the Milton McKenzie, who had that horrible leg injury last week in their bowl game, and I don't like watching those. I hate when they run replays all the time on injuries like that. But nice to have Brandon Wimbush as the starting quarterback down there at UCF.
And I'm not sure UCF's lost very many games in a regular season. Their schedule is getting tougher. They're scheduling tougher teams, but I see UCF winning this.
Bob's going with me. We're both taking UCF. Number 24 USC back into the polls as they face off in Provo, Utah against BYU, fresh off of a victory over Tennessee.
You know, I think consistency is the word in this game. BYU is going to want to have consistency, try to tack on 2 wins. What I saw from USC and watched the game late until it started getting out of hand, I see a very much improved USC team who, you know, if at the beginning of the season you would have said who would still be there by mid-season, Lynn Swann, the athletic director, or Clay Helton, the coach, I would have said Lynn Swann, but he resigned after the victory last week against Stanford. And moving on to other things, I'm going to pick USC in this game. Not going to be easy to go play BYU, a very tough physical team.
And always tough to play in Provo.
Yeah, exactly.
Arizona State at number 18, Michigan State. Sparty is always tough at home. I'm going with Spartans at home.
I agree, and they lost last year at Arizona State, so this is kind of a revenge game. Michigan State very much improved, hence their ranking.
Now we're heading to the Battle of Iowa. Number 19 Iowa going on the road to, I believe, is it Ames,
Iowa.
Ames, Iowa, to play
Coach
on
Campbell.
Matt Campbell, the young phenom coach there at Iowa State. This is going to be a good ball game. And Iowa, their defense, every year their defense is just solid. They keep producing defensive players and tight ends out of Iowa.
Exactly.
And I'm going to go, gosh, this is a kind of a head scratcher, but I'm going to go with the Hawkeyes on the road.
I am too. I think they're a good ball team, well coached, but it could be a field goal game late.
Next, we have the Vandals of Idaho heading out to Utah to take on number 11, as Robbie calls them. How's he call them?
Utes.
Utes. Utes. We're going both with Utah. Not much talk on that game.
No.
Number 9, Florida heading to Kentucky. Prior to this week, that was a good matchup coming up, but Kentucky has lost their quarterback for the season, and they have Tate quarterback transfer from Troy. Sawyer Smith will be the starting quarterback for UK this weekend. And that name strikes a little fear into some of the locals here in Navarre, as Sawyer was a quarterback for that Tate team that gave Navarre their only loss of the season in 2015 in the double overtime loss to the Tate Aggies, 23-22. With Sawyer Smith at quarterback.
You know, I think Kentucky, believe it or not, I think Kentucky keeps the game close. Florida's going to have to get the run game going. I'll take the Gators in Kentucky.
Me as well. Next, we got Kent at number 8. Auburn, no match up there for me.
Nope.
Taking Auburn at home.
The Flashes. Got to like the nickname, though.
I love it.
Yeah.
Next, we have Louisiana Monroe, fresh off an overtime game at Florida State, where they put up 31 points in the second half against a Florida State defense that didn't look very good. And then they're going to be on the road at number 16, Texas A&M, and it's always tough to go out to Aggie land.
And Aggies are going to take out their frustrations with their loss at Clemson. I think Aggies win big on this.
Number one Clemson at Syracuse this week. The Orange will not get the victory in this one. In fact, I think Clemson, after they saw what Maryland did to Syracuse last week, I think Clemson is going to spread it out and put up quite a few points in this one.
I'm going to pick Clemson too, but once again, I think it's going to be close early. Syracuse has just given them fits over the years. I don't know what it is. You have Scott Moore said it on the radio this afternoon. You know, games like this, weeks like this, something wacky always happens. I think Syracuse keeps it close, but I'll go with the number 1 team in the country, Clemson.
Okay, now we're going to throw your team out there. Florida State is going to go on the road to number 25, Virginia. A lot of people coming into this season had Virginia taking the coastal part of the ACC, and
they could very well be in the playoff game against probably Clemson. I'm going to go, even though I want to say one of the greatest lines in Caddyshack, when he's talking about, "Are you a good golfer?" and who's the comic?
Chevy Chase.
Chevy Chase goes, "You're not good." Florida State worked on stripping the ball. Willie Taggart, I know you're not listening. Why don't you practice tackling? I don't want to worry about stripping the ball, and we're missing too many tackles. All right. With that,
maybe they need to go and watch The Water Boy, because you need your tackling fuel. Tackling fuel.
Florida State in an upset.
Florida State in the upset. Northwestern State. You're probably thinking, well, is that Northwestern? No, it's a school in Louisiana that is going to face the best team in Louisiana, number 4 LSU, off an impressive victory on the road at Texas. I'm going to be LSU in a scrimmage against Northwestern State.
Yep. Joe Burrow probably doesn't play the second half. Again, another game you want to get through and not get your starters injured, because you got big games coming up in October.
Next,
November.
we have the Rainbow Warriors on the road, Hawaii at number 23, Washington. And I'm not going to do you wrong, Chris. I think Washington's going to win big in this one.
What does Lee Corso say?
Not so fast, my friend.
Not so fast, my friend. Hawaii won their opening game. They beat somebody really close, high-scoring game. I think Hawaii keeps it close.
Yeah, but they played Arizona.
Oh, that's true.
Arizona is
Brian and Navarre's team.
Is Brian and Navarre's team, yeah. And not very good.
Not very good. I'll take Nelcor because you're Seminole. Also, I'll take Washington. I think it's going to be probably a high-scoring game, believe it or not. The Rainbow Warriors go into, is it Pullman?
Pullman.
And I think Washington does pull away in the second half.
Up to UW. I'm taking Washington at home, the Huskies. Next, we have a Texas matchup between number 12 Texas at Rice. And I think Rice is going to be cooked in this one. You know I got to get one every night.
Well, Texas, they've got a great quarterback. And I agree with a lot of the folks on the radio that said that, I believe it's Ellinger. He may be the most pro-ready professional quarterback.
And he is built like a brick wall.
He is. I'm going to take Texas. Be careful about a hangover, but I think Texas pulls away big in the second half.
Next, we got Oklahoma going on the road, number 5 at UCLA, UCLA.
That's what they called the Bulldogs in Crestview, Upper Crestview, Laurel, Alabama. Never heard that?
No, I have not. Just learn something new every day. I'm going with the Sooners, putting up about a 60 spot on UCLA.
Easy. Again, another game. UCLA did not start off the year very well, and their coach is the guy who used to be with the Eagles. I can't think of his name.
Is Auburn off this week? I have not said Auburn yet. No, or did I? Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
They're basically off. They're playing Kent.
That's right. I'm going to take Oklahoma. Again, another game you just want to keep.
Next, we have a Division I AA team heading to that team we don't like to talk about up there on the blue turf.
Especially when they beat Florida State.
Portland State at number 22, Bluefield guys.
Boise's undefeated. I think it's another win for Boise.
And then we're finishing off our top 25 picks with what is the Montana?
The Grizzlies. I believe
they're the Grizzlies. You are correct.
Or Montana State, the Grizzlies.
And they're going up to face number 15, Oregon, who put up 70 last week, and I see him probably putting up about close to another 70.
Is Oregon thankful that Willie Taggart got hired at Florida State?
I would say yes, because I love the young Mario Cristobal up there at Oregon. Great quarterback. They have a great quarterback up there with Brandon Herbert. And the tough loss to Auburn to start the season. Maybe you don't like looking at any loss as a good one, but maybe it was something that they needed to kind of just refocus and get ready for the Pac-12. And it was a tough loss to Auburn on the road. But
they don't have a lot of games. Oregon doesn't. That is going to give them brownie points, if you will, on their schedule. They do play, Washington and Washington State, but Oregon again, they're going to put up big numbers against Montana.
Well, before we get to our last two segments on the show, we're going to go ahead now commercial break because we've been talking for a little while, Bob.
Sure have.
But that's why we're here, is to talk high school and college football with you out there on IrishBillSports.com. This is Bob Grant and Irish Bill here at Culver's in downtown Navarre. And we'll be back after this break.
Craig Culver of Culver's.
Before farm to table, before field to fork, there was just good, wholesome food. Grown by America's farm families, prepared fresh at Culver's, and always served with a smile. We still cook every Butterburger to order using fresh 100% Midwest beef, and craft our frozen custard right in the restaurant using family farm fresh dairy. So thank you, farmers. Welcome to Delicious.
Navarre Raider Sports is brought to you by Ursula Householder of Coldwell Banker Residential Real Estate, your local real estate connection. With Ursula, you got a positive, helpful partner for buying or selling a home. Ursula can help with all of your real estate needs. Whether in the Florida Panhandle or around the world, her 16 years experience in real estate will work for you with innovative marketing strategies. Thinking about selling your home? Call Ursula for a free marketing analysis to see if you qualify for one of the incentive programs. Call or text 850-642-5711. Email ursula.householder@floridamoves.com or go to householderhomes.com. Go Raiders! Your fans are all behind you at the field or while you're watching at home.
A strong work ethic takes pride in a job well done. This is the kind of person you need. Express Employment Professionals can help, because we understand what it takes to hire the right person. It takes real people, real interviews. We find good people, matching the right skills with the right jobs from the production floor to the front office. Express knows jobs. Get to know Express. Go to expresspros.com to find a location near you.
University Lending Group, located in Harvest Village, is Navarre's local mortgage lender. If buying, selling, or building a dream home is in your future, you need to contact University Lending Group. Jennifer Gomes and Stacy Wright are the loan specialists who have the experience to take you step by step to make your buying, building, or selling experience smooth. See University at 752 Navarre Parkway, Suite 56, or call 850-396-0322.
Great teams have great support. The Navarre Raiders have one of the best support organizations, the Navarre Raider Quarterback Club. All the members see to it that the Raiders have all available necessities to keep the Raiders on track. Well, they're seeing to it that they are properly fed, have good transportation, or making sure that all Raider fans can hear all the exciting Navarre Raider football action. The Navarre Raider Quarterback Club is there to make it happen. Thanks, Navarre Raider Quarterback Club, for your support of your winning Navarre Raiders on IrishBillSports.com.
Have you always wanted to just escape? How about a perfect cruise getaway? Or maybe an adventure to Europe or Hawaii? How about an all-inclusive resort? Then you need to call Cruise Planners Qualified Vacation Planner Judy Bruce today. She is a full-service agent ready to plan your escape. Enjoy dinner at sea, live entertainment, and fun activities. Visit exotic destinations, Alaska, Europe, Belize, all in the comfort of a cruise or land package. Cruise Planners is your land and cruise experts. Judy Bruce will plan your dream vacation. Cruise Planners offers great prices with all the extras. Ask about the military or senior discounts. Call Judy Bruce at 828-837-8399. Find her on Facebook at Judy Bruce Cruise Planners or online at dandelionsjourneytravel.com. Email judy.bruce@cruiseplanners.com.
Get on with the show. Up on the roof here. You can only hear it on Friday night broadcasts or
Thursday
Irish
night.
Bills Twist on Sports. Thursday night this
Thursday
week.
night,
In
yep.
fact, tomorrow night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. Go to www.irishbillsports.com, and you'll be able to watch Navarre as they face off with Lincoln on irishbillsports.com.
Yeah, and, I've got commitments at school, and I apologize profusely. I'm not going to be able to make the trip with you to Tallahassee. I'm glad you're not going to be alone. You'll have a fill-in. I hope it's not like the Wally Pipp story where Wally Pipp was the first baseman for the Yankees, and it's just some guy named Lou Gehrig came along, and
How many games in a row was it? 2,100 and something?
about the same length of time since Washington State
you had to go there.
had beaten Washington.
They're getting up near 2,500 days for that one. Hey, Chris, if you're out there, if you're watching the show tonight, Chris, tell me the exact number, how many days it's been since 2012, since Washington State. Yes, I even know the score of that game. You surprised that Irish Bill knows the score? 31-28, Washington State beat Washington in overtime in 2012. And that was the last time that the Cougs, man, actually beat No Core and his Washington Huskies.
And it was probably under a different coach, too. I'm
trying to remember who was up there at that time.
I don't know. But anyway.
Doesn't really matter. It's Washington State.
It's Washington.
And it's Pac-12 grass basketball.
Grass.
Well, let's move on to my favorite segment of the whole show, former Navarre Raiders. Where are they now? Tampa Bay Buccaneers tight end Jordan Leggett is on the practice squad for the Bucs this year. He's in his third season in the NFL. West Florida's wide receiver Quentin Randolph, he's a redshirt senior for the Argonauts. They lost a tough one last Thursday night to Carson Newman, 20-13. Quentin did his part with 4 receptions for 52 yards, and they'll get their first win this season as they head to Rome, Georgia, to take on the Shorter University Hawks.
Oh, they don't want to be a trivia question, though. The team that
broke the 39-game losing streak of the Shorter Hawks.
Prairie View had, I think it was in basketball, they lost an ungodly number.
The Division II record is 52 games.
So, but yeah, Carson Newman is not a bad team. I want to jump back, if I can, to Jordan Leggett. If you're on,
you have that option.
I'll take tails.
Okay.
Defer to the second half. My understanding of the NFL rules is if you're on a practice squad, you can also be picked off by another team. And there have been a number of tight end injuries. Hunter Henry is one of them who is done for the year. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Jordan. I hate him leaving Florida because, again, as a tight end, if you're on the practice squad, you're only an injury away. But a good number of wide receiver and tight end injuries early on in the season. I wouldn't be surprised if Jordan got picked up by another NFL
where
team.
I'd like to see him right now because Trey Burton missed the first. Trey Burton missed the first game for the Bears, and it showed there's not production out of that tight end crew there in Chicago. I wouldn't mind seeing him in Chicagoland with the Bears.
Yep.
Then we head on to Miles College, a great start for the Golden Bears this past week as they went on the road to Fort Valley State, Georgia. And I tell you, folks, there is no quick way to get there.
Almost like trying to get to Jackson, Mississippi to watch Mississippi State.
Yeah, actually, even worse is heading up to Cleveland, Mississippi to watch Delta State. It's up in the very northwest corner of Mississippi. But the Golden Bears win and start the season 1-0, and has started off with a conference game right away. So a great start for the Golden Bears. 7 kickoffs for Brady Hamill. Nice job. A lot of kickoffs to start the season and that 38-17 win. Next, they'll be home for a big game this week. Morehouse College, located over in Atlanta, right next to Clark, Atlanta. They're like a mile apart from each other. Mm-hmm. And there's a girls' school that was right there as well. Spelman College is right there. So There's 3 schools within like a mile and a half.
Wow.
Right there in just right near the airport, not too far from the airport in Atlanta. But they're facing off Morehouse College, a revenge game. This is a game that the Golden Bears led the whole game last year as they played at Soldier Field. And
Wow.
And Morehouse College.
Were you there?
I was there, and my family was there from Indiana as well. My dad's first visit to Soldier Field as well, and we got to watch. But unfortunately, they score on a Hail Mary on the last play of the game from 45 yards out. And the only time they trailed in the whole game. So a little bit of revenge as they go back home for their first of 4 home games there. And we'll be up there at that one on Saturday. Next, Kennesaw State defensive endman Kyle Aerosmith. He had no stats and a 26-23 loss. A very respectable loss to Kent State. On overtime loss.
Flashes.
They're 1-1 on the season. Next, they'll be heading into Alabama to Montgomery to take on Alabama State this Saturday, 6 p.m. kickoff. And Kyle with 1 solo tackle on the season. Texas Tech defensive back Tommy Leggett, a redshirt junior and captain on the Red Raiders team this year. They started off their season. They are up against Utah. And actually, I did not update that one. They actually won this past weekend as well over Oklahoma Panhandle. So they are 2-0 on the season, young season, and we'll get that one updated for next show. Maryville College linebacker Bo Herring, he's a junior up there. They're 0-1 on the season. He had 2 solo tackles and an interception last week, and a 31-10 loss to Berry. Berry is just down the road, about 5 minutes from Shorter University, and they're a Division III school. And the last 3 losses for the Scots of Maryville College have been to Berry. Start to see it last year, then Berry knocked them out in the playoffs last year. So 3 straight losses to Berry. They'll be on the road this week at Center University, 14 September at 7 p.m. kickoff. 2 solo tackles for Bo in their kickoff game. Next, we're heading to the 2-0 North Carolina Tar Heels.
They look good.
Look really good. Their defense is coming around as they beat Miami 28-25. Kind of not a big game for Michael Carter, 11 carries, 30 yards, 2 receptions for 19 yards, and he did have a big 2-point conversion in that game as well. Next, I believe they will be in the ACC action, I believe, again this week, and I missed a couple of my updates here as they're playing a Saturday contest this week, and let me see if I got their schedule right here.
Yeah. I can't think off the top of my head who they play. It's not NC State.
Not NC State.
Not Syracuse. Not Notre Dame. Not Florida State.
It's a nice thing of technology with production as we go.
Yeah.
They're playing at Wake Forest, a Friday night game.
Yeah, Wake Forest is favored by 3 in that game, and that's another head-scratcher. What does Vegas know that we don't know?
I know.
Other than it I mean, you expect the home team to get 3, but I think Miami really had their or was targeting Michael Carter to hem him in, and but he did get the 2-point conversion, and scoreboard doesn't ever lie.
Yep.
And you get a win over Miami. And
that matches their season total wins from last year, where they went 2-9.
Mac
Brown kind of instilling a little bit of it was a trip to the Fountain of Youth or something.
And so very good chance UNC could be 3-0.
Definitely. Michael Carter with 27 carries, 107 yards, 3 receptions, and 29 yards on the season. Next, we head over to Huntington College, where they had a shootout last week against Guilford, 69-43. We got a few Raiders up there. Mark Struck, defensive lineman, a junior. He had 2 tackles. Huntington College, Daryl Hickson, off the one of our big bubbas from a couple years ago. He's been starting since his freshman year up there. Huntington College long snapper Garrett Sluter, he's a redshirt freshman. Garrett was our long snapper at Navarre. And they'll be playing up the road in Birmingham this week, Birmingham Southern, this Saturday night. We also have a kicker, I just found out, I was looking through the roster the other day. Kyle Hickman, who kicked for Navarre and punted for Navarre a couple years ago, is a sophomore up there at Huntingdon. And next we're going to move over to Shorty University. Quarterback Sage Chambers did not play in their 48-10 loss to East Tennessee State. They'll be at home this week hosting West Florida. Auburn University offensive lineman Nick Brahms, still yet to see any action this season, but they did win 24-6 over that team from the Greenland over there in New Orleans. Next they'll be playing Kent State.
He may see some action this week.
I think so. I would like to always see him play, and with Brady's 6 o'clock kickoff, I may be able to watch a little bit of that game before we head out to get some good eats over there. Sam Houston State wide receiver Tevin Stevenson, a junior. He had 1 reception for 4 yards. And that was actually Sam Houston State that played Oklahoma Panhandle. 77-0 win over them. I'd never even heard of them until I saw the score.
Oklahoma Panhandle?
Yeah.
Never heard of them.
And next they'll be on the road at North Dakota, heading up to North Dakota for that game. 1 reception on the season for Tevin. Next, we head down to Southern Florida and Ave Maria University. Offensive lineman LaMarcus Smith starting on the offensive line there for the Gyrenes. Of course, they lost to an overtime loss, 30-23 to number 17 Cumberland's Kentucky to get their season out of the way. Next, they'll be home to St. Andrews in North Carolina on a Friday night kickoff. Next, we head over to Troy, where an open week for the Trojans and Jordan Williams. Redshirt walk-on wide receiver for Troy. Next up, they'll be this Saturday at home against Southern Miss.
Good ball game.
Next, we head out to California and the Community College Southwest. Running back Amari Green still looking for his first action. I've never heard this football score before in my life. I had to do a double take when I looked at it, but they lost to San Diego Mesa 14-4.
Well,
two safeties.
I was about to say 2 safeties or a grand slam for the for Southwestern State.
I had to do a double take on that score because I don't think I have ever seen somebody have 4 points.
2 safeties.
Two safeties in a game. Next up for them, they'll be at home against Palomar. Colorado State wide receiver Dante Wright
continues to impress.
First reception of the game, first play of the game. 75-yard touchdown pass. And I really like this Colin Hill, the quarterback at Colorado State. Had a great game. They did play against Western Illinois. But Dante, here's his game stats. You think this was maybe a couple weeks. 7 receptions, 111 yards, and a score. 1 carry, 33 yards on a jet sweep once again, and a score. 4 punt returns for 35 yards in a 38-13 win over Western. That was actually Western Illinois.
Yeah.
And they'll be on the road and a little bit closer haul for the Wright family this week because they only have to go up to Arkansas. And they'll face a 2 p.m. kickoff there. Season stats for Dante, 4 carries, 92 yards, 2 touchdowns, 11 receptions, 183 yards, 2 touchdowns, 6 punt returns, and he's averaging 9 yards a punt return as well. Pretty darn solid.
Absolutely. And he continues to be part of the offense for Colorado State, and I'm sure their quarterback is happy that he can sling it up there and get somebody to run under it. One of the fastest players on Colorado State's team, Dante Wright. We're very proud of Dante.
Most definitely. And next we move on to West Virginia defensive lineman Jordan Jefferson. Yet to see the field yet for the Mountaineers. They are 1-1 this season after a big loss to Missouri last week, 38-7. They'll be on the road, actually at home to North Carolina State this Saturday at noon kickoff. Here we head over to South Alabama for a couple of Raiders. Josh Carter at linebacker. He had his first tackle for the Jaguars last week in their 37-14 win over Jackson State. Did not play for Bryson Brewer, the walk-on wide receiver there. Next up for them, a tough game as they will host Memphis on Saturday, 2:30 kickoff in that one. Next we have Charleston Southern wide receiver Quinn Caballero. He had his first collegiate reception. Unfortunately, they were on the short end of a 72-10 loss to South Carolina. But the congratulations to Quinn on his first collegiate catch. Next, we move over to Harding. Both Mitchell Hunt and James Segrist, long snapper James and defensive lineman Mitchell, did not get into play against every one of their games is a conference game on their schedule in Arkansas. So it's next week they'll be up against Arkansas Monticello, but they lost a tough one to Cheetah Baptist 16-14 this past weekend. Next we head up to Missouri. Culver Stockton defensive lineman Alex Gilchrist. They're 0-1 on the season. They did not get in the game in a 2013. Actually, they finished that game 1-1. They lost their first game of the season to Central Methodist. Next, they'll be at home, Missouri Valley College, 11 a.m. kickoff. And we have a couple more here. Norwich University offensive lineman Clayton Dillard. If you go out to their website and look at their roster, Clayton has one of the biggest mustaches. He looks like an old cowboy up in Vermont. And great young man. Good big offense. One of our former Big Bubbas on the Raider offensive line. He did not play in a 22-19 win over Salve Regina. And next they'll be at home against St. Lawrence, a noon kickoff. And then Sanford, I didn't have this one on there last week, but he's back playing football this season for the Sanford team up there in Alabama. Linebacker Caleb Dale. He's a sophomore up there. They're 0-2. A tough loss in their to Tennessee Tech this last week, 59-58 in double overtime.
Yeah, it sounds like a basketball score.
The next they'll be on the road at number 21, Wofford. So there's your former Raiders and where they are now, and we'll continue to give you updates as the season goes on. Now we move over to the Gulf South Conference, our final segment and our final thing that we'll talk about on this night. A big 6 wins for the conference, 3 losses. And Delta State, Florida Tech, North Greenville, Valdosta State, the defending Division II champion. And West Alabama, West Georgia all get off with wins. West Florida, Mississippi College, and a shorter start to season with losses. And let's go over this second week schedule for the GSC. North Greenville will be at West Carolina, West Georgia at Limestone, West Florida at Shorter, Florida Tech at Newberry, West Alabama at Tusculum. You ever been up? You know where Tusculum's at?
No.
It's up in the eastern part of Tennessee. It's about 85 miles from Knoxville.
Okay.
It's over there, and it's a beautiful area over there, not too far from Asheville, North Carolina.
Oh, wow.
It's all the way over there. A beautiful campus. It's an older campus, nothing but beautiful buildings and rolling land over there. And we actually went up to a game a couple years ago when Shorter played up there. West Alabama will be at Tusculum. Ohio Dominican will be at Valdosta State, Delta State at Grand Valley State, and Albany State will be at Mississippi College. That about does it for our show, Bob.
Do you think Tennessee Shanky knows where Tusculum is?
I'm sure he does. He's a big Tennessee fan.
Probably a lot of ginseng.
The land of ginseng.
Land of ginseng.
And I hope all you guys stayed along for the show. You enjoyed the show. Wherever you may be on the World Wide Web, we are here every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock until we decide to close up shop.
Yeah, I saw on Facebook from Stacy Wright that they may be taking a Spirit bus to the game, to Tallahassee, and I guess you would contact the school to find out more information about that.
Yeah, get with Stacy Wright on Facebook, and I'm sure she can get back with you to let you know if it's full or not. If not, Irish Bill looking for someone to ride with him over there. So, and all I will charge you is just that you have to listen to me for 3 hours over there and 3 hours back.
I'm so sorry. You don't know how I really anguished.
Oh, I'm going to miss you because I'm starting to enjoy having you in the booth with me, and it's nice as I go back. I went back and looked at little tidbits of each of our broadcasts so far, and it's almost like, we've been doing games together for a while because we just kind of feed off of each other's cues, and both of us have been doing this quite a while. You much longer than I, as we dip back into the early '90s with Fort Walton Beach football, and But we have a good time. We call it like we see it. You may agree with us most of the time or not at all, but we have fun doing it, and hopefully you have fun sitting at home watching us bring you Raider football on IrishBillSports.com every week.
I hope they enjoy watching football rather than watching our ugly mugs.
I had a lot of comments last week. All I can see is the announcers in the booth. I said, I wish that we could have provided more last week, but unfortunately the events did not allow us to. But
here on out, we should be good.
God willing, and bandwidth issues stay away tomorrow night from Tallahassee, and as we'll be at Gene Cox Stadium, the nicely revamped stadium over there with a turf field now. And I've heard they've updated the place a little bit, and I can't wait because last time I saw that place was in 2010. It was not very good memories for us Raider faithful as the Raiders went on the road and lost in triple overtime to Lincoln. The only time that these two teams have faced each other.
Exactly. They're a very powerful team, lots of history, have done very well in the playoffs. It's going to be a challenge for Navarre. I know some people around the state have them a 2-touchdown underdog, but I think Navarre's up for the challenge, and I think they're gonna open some eyes this week as they have yet another road game, 2 road games in a row, to face a tough Trojan team. Now, if the game is at 7:00 Eastern time,
7 o'clock Eastern,
6 o'clock local.
6 o'clock. So get home from work, log on to your computers or your phones or whatever, your iPads or whatever device that you use, www.irishbillsports.com. Hit the broadcast. It will be right there. And with Blue Frame, I want to thank Blue Frame for allowing us our streaming through Blue Frame this year, and thank them and all. But there's one group of people I would really like to thank, and that is Josh Dye, his wife September, and Miguel Navarro out at Your Tech Professionals in Pensacola. You look at my site, and they have done a great job putting my site together. And Josh has been with us. He was out there opening night to make sure everything was up and running before he took off. We got the okay, and Josh took off, and they've done a great job on my site. You can go out there. I put blogs out there. A lot of the same information that I put on my Facebook page, but we've got a lot of good information out there. We got some other links on there for some other sports things, and some of our sponsors, a couple links out there as well. And our former Navarre Raiders, where they at now, it's a page out there, a tab on my page, and I keep the district standings for all the teams from here, from in the Panhandle, from Class 7A all the way down to our independent with Lighthouse PCA just down the road, and it's been a dream of mine. And as I told, took a survey on comments about Your Tech Professionals, and they're one of the comments, and I put they said describe them in a couple of words, and I said dream maker.
And I like that.
And they made my dream come true, and I thank them every week for what they do with my site and getting us going. But with Blue Frame, Your Tech, and IrishBillSports.com, a great combination.
They provided some technical assistance last week. We had some issues, some gremlins in the system trying to work out last week. You dial them up, boom, 5 minutes.
And we were on the air before kickoff.
That's it.
And that's all that matters is that we bring the kickoff. We can do away with the post-game shows at times, but the important stuff is the kickoff itself. So, but hopefully you enjoyed the show this week. For Bob Grant, this has been Irish Bill on Irish Bill's Twist on Sports here at Culver's in Navarre. Thanks to Honey and Randy Smith for bringing us in every Wednesday night. Tune in next Wednesday night, and you can find out who's the better picker on high school and college sports between Bob Grant and myself. Until tomorrow night, I was going to say Friday night, but tomorrow night from Gene Cox Stadium, and we'll bring you Raider football on IrishBillSports.com. Until then, may the wind never be at your back. This is Irish Bill signing off. Good night, Navarre.